What the fuck? I'm sweating my balls off.
Alright, I would prefer you don't fall over. That would be great.
Alright, ignore the fact that I'm in a white beater. It's 85 degrees in my apartment, and it's either this or no shirt. So I don't really want to get a strike on my YouTube channel in my first video, so it's going to be this. Before I continue this video, I want to first say that you should probably watch the ICT 2022 mentorship videos, because that's what these videos will be about, these practice modules that were taught in the mentorship. So if you're here and you haven't watched that, I suggest watching that. The second thing I want to shout out is Zeus's channel. He just created a beautiful video on simplified liquidity, amazing production. I wish I was that familiar with editing. He said that he would teach me. I'm holding you up to that. I highly suggest you check out that video if you have any questions about liquidity before you dive into this video. Now that we got that aside, let's talk about practicing liquidity, how to find liquidity in price action. We're going to start with noting the 3-month trend on the S&P continuous contract on TradingView, which is ES1 exclamation point on the daily chart. So if you look at this chart, what direction is price going from the red dotted line? It's going lower. It's delineated with the red arrow. With this knowledge that price is moving lower, we expect sweeps of highs and runs on lows. We expect this trend to continue. So when price runs a high, we don't want it to run very far. We want it to just sweep and then continue running lows. So we note the highs that lead to new lows, and these highs are expected to be swept, like I just said. Equal highs and lows should be noted for the high likelihood of being swept for buy-side liquidity and targeted for runs for sell-side liquidity. These equal highs and equal lows have a lot of orders under and above them. Price likes to target these levels because when they're swept, they take out a lot of liquidity in the market. So as you can see from this diagram, I've noted the highs that lead to new lows with circles, and then you can see this second example of the sweep of the buy side. It's an equal high. So price uses that to sweep and then run the sell side liquidity. Okay, so this is a 3-month trend of the USDCAD. This is the same example as I just did, except on USDCAD instead of the S&P futures contract. So what direction is price going in this image of the past 3 months? If this is confusing for you, what direction is price going? Is it going towards the top right or the bottom right of the chart? So in this example, it's going higher. So with that knowledge, we expect sweeps of lows and runs on highs. So like we did before, we would note the lows that lead to new highs, and we expect these lows to be swept briefly for runs for highs, as we expect price to continue higher. So like this diagram shows, we see a sweep of the low with that circle, and then a run on the highs. And then we had this low form, and then we ran higher. And just like before, equal highs and equal lows should be mentioned for their high probability of being ran or swept, because there's a lot of liquidity at these levels. So here's a practice module for liquidity. Divide your chart into 3-month intervals. So from December to March, March to June, June to September, and September to December, like I've shown here. So note the trend direction of that 3-month interval. For here, the first quarter is up, the second is up, the third is lower, and then the fourth is higher. And this can be used like the open and close of that time period. So for example, the open for the third quarter of this example, we kind of consolidated, but the open is higher than the close of that interval. Does that make sense? So if we are bullish, we look for sweeps of lows and then a continuation higher. We want most lows to be protected, and when they are swept for sell-side liquidity, they don't continue running. The same with bearishness. When we were bearish, we expect price to slightly go above and sweep highs and keep running lows as this trend continues. So yeah, that's it. I didn't want to make it too confusing, because if I add a bunch of stuff in here, it gets besides the point of we're studying liquidity. So it's a very basic, very beginner example of practicing liquidity. Just remember that if we are bullish, we expect slight sweeps on lows and continuations higher for runs on buys. And then for bearishness, we expect sweeps of highs and runs on lows. We want the trend to continue, so we want most highs to be protected when we are bearish. Hope you found this practice module insightful. join the Discord, which would be the first link in the description. You can post your examples in there, and I will review them, and then others from the community will also review them and make sure you're doing it correctly. And I feel like this is a really good example of just seeing how liquidity moves. The support and resistance theory is garbage, so this is a very easy example to see how liquidity moves the markets. I hope you enjoyed. Talk to you soon.